Meow. Everybody, I'm Cantonese Cat. Hey everyone, Cantonese Cat here. I want to do a video about Tesla. I haven't done it for a long time. Just want to share with you some thoughts. And again, these are not absolute statements, they're just thoughts. And I'll tell you what I'm doing, I'll tell you why I'm thinking, I'll tell you why I'm doing certain things that I'm doing. But for whatever reason, Tesla's just been very, very controversial stock, both in terms of its fundamentals as well as in terms of its technicals. It's just been a lot of opinion, a lot of comments. Every single time I post something about Tesla, there are a wide range of opinions. And last time I posted a video a few weeks ago, I didn't think that sentiment was going to get worse, and it ended up just keep getting worse because sentiment was already pretty bad around the stock. And it just kept getting worse and worse and worse. And the price just basically kind of just went sideways. Like it didn't really do much, even though the sentiment is just keep getting worse. So to me, I think there's a little bit of a divergence of having bad news just keeps coming, but the price just kind of keep getting a little bit stabilized. Now, before I go into the chart here, I just want to share with you. Over the last couple of years, I had a great chance to meet a lot of different people on X, formerly known as Twitter. And I'm not just talking about great people in terms of providing fundamental analysis or technical analysis. I think that these are actually people that I would like to have a beer with. They are very nice people, very logical people. Their thinking makes sense to me. A lot of times their thinking can even be a little bit too close to me and actually makes it a little bit of like an echo chamber. It gets me a little bit scared. But a couple of things I want to share with you. One is, of course, my friend Danny. If you know me, you follow me on X, you probably already heard a lot about Danny. He is one of those advocates for really chasing after momentum. He has these really fundamentally sound technical analysis that really tries to capture momentum, really tries to find buy signal, and really tries to find whether or not there is significant inflow, outflow, institutional buying in and out, and trying to use the objective data to try to figure out whether or not it's a good time to enter Tesla or not. And he's been really selling out with Tesla for quite some time. He's been warning a lot of people to not get into Tesla, to try to get out. And he himself has gotten out, and he's continuing to try to do what he can to help people. So he is getting a little bit busy. He is starting to get a lot of people kind of requesting things from him. So I do think that he's starting to post a lot more on Patreon. But I just want to share with you, like, he's a great guy. The other guys I want to share with you are these two right here. Great Maspy. He posts a lot of different videos. Some of them on Doge, some on some other altcoins, some of them on other stocks. One of which that he constantly goes back to is Tesla. I think he provides some pretty very sound technical analysis for that. And then another one that I also wanted to talk about is Tesla Tracker, also very, very good analysis. And the fact is there are a lot of people that provide really great analysis out there, but these are actually logical people that are not toxic, and it's very important to have that. Another one that I also ran into, and I hope you guys don't harass her too much, is Open Skies. She's also been posting a lot of really great fundamental analysis on Tesla. So these are some of the friends that I have found on X that I like to follow. I want to shed a light on a few things. So first of all, if you look at the monthly chart of Tesla here, Tesla has spent the majority of the time, and I keep saying this is different stocks have different personalities. Tesla always looks like it wants to roll over, but doesn't. That's what it's been doing ever since its IPO. It just keeps on making these look like it's going to roll over. Looks like it's just getting weaker and weaker, and then it doesn't. It just keeps making like another high. And it's been doing it for years, for over a decade and a half. Over here, since its inception, looks like it's going to roll over. It doesn't make a big move. Here, it looks like all these move right here looks like it's going to roll over, but it doesn't. Over here, it really looks like it's about to roll over here, right? Nope. It forms a little nice dragonfly doji over here, and over here looks like it's going to roll over. Nope, just makes a higher high. And over here, it looks like it's going to roll over here. Oh man, it's just going to be like, when is this going to end? Next thing you know, it just make a parabolic move. I don't think that you can use some of the traditional ways to look at Tesla and think that this is going to happen, that is going to happen. This stock has a very, very weird and volatile personality. It just does. Technical analysis still works for it, but you cannot be absolute about it. You have to react to what it's doing, and you have to keep an open mind when it comes to a stock like this. fundamentally speaking, too, I think it's the same thing. A lot of people, when price gets up to here, they think that the 30 to 50% growth annually is just going to last forever. There's not going to be any pullback. This is not a cyclical stock. Things are just going to go up all the way up to the moon. But the reality is that the majority of their business is selling cars. Sure, they sell some of the best cars. Electric cars are better than ICE vehicles. Electric cars are being pioneered by Tesla. They are really the big name in town. When you think about electric cars, you really think about Tesla here. None of the other car makers are really even catching up to them in terms of the cost, in terms of the margin, in terms of the quality, if you will. None of them really catching up to Tesla. If anything, they're starting to find that EV is really not that profitable, and they're starting to either seriously dilute their shareholders like Lucid or like Rivian, or they're just trying to get out from it like Ford and GM because they have alternative business models that can benefit from short term, when Tesla is just like heads and shoulders about everybody else. No pun intended, okay? But the whole thing is, I don't know whether or not you can value Tesla like you do for other car companies. There are also a lot of things that are going on, and a lot of people are arguing that these things are going on to try and justify the valuation of Tesla is not justifiable, and there's a lot of people that argue that it is. Regardless, there are a lot of things that you have to take into account here. There are some statements that are made that I'm just not sure is true. First of all, a lot of people saying that Tesla has to go down a lot further to form a base, kind of like what Bitcoin does, just goes down here to like the 60s or something like that before going up. Tesla doesn't have to do that. I've already shown you that it's not in his personality to do that. It always looks like it's going to roll over, but it doesn't. It's a completely different personality from Bitcoin. If you look at the Bitcoin chart, sure, it does come down and form a base and go up, but that's Bitcoin. Bitcoin is reflective of what global liquidity is doing, whereas Tesla is not. Tesla is a business. Tesla does what the cyclicality does in terms of consumerism, and also Tesla is not the only stock right now that's suffering from consumers being weak. You're talking about other stocks that are also going through the same thing. Hershey's, Nike, Lululemon, Ulta Beauty, all of these have reported pretty bad numbers, and all of these are going through some pretty bad things right now in terms of going through consumer recession. And it could be argued that some of them have exposure to China. For example, Nike does. For example, Tesla does. But there are also others that are not doing so well right now that don't really have any significant exposure to China. So I'm not sure you can really necessarily blame it on that. Another thought is that maybe because of how cyclical natures are, you have a significant increase in demand for EV because a lot of people, a lot of early pioneers have really gotten into electric vehicles. Now there are people actually maybe a little bit more resistant to it, that are a little bit more skeptical. You're always going to go through these cycles. You're also going to have some early people that are early adopters that are in it, and then they hype up the cycle so much, and it just brings everything up so much that you think it's just going to end up continuing. But next thing you know, people who end up buying the car at a very, very high price end up seeing price cut because of significant deflation when it comes to vehicle prices. When it comes to a lot of used car prices, you can buy a cheap Tesla too nowadays. There's a lot of people who are very disillusioned, and they just don't want to buy Tesla. All these things are cyclical. Consumerism is cyclical. I don't know whether or not what people think, it's going to keep going for 2024 to 2025. This trend is just going to keep going. And I think a lot of times it's faulty thinking that, the trend up here is going to keep going over here. Like I'm feeling kind of like the opposite sentiment right now for a lot of folks. I think most people are more skeptical about Tesla going up in the short term. And a lot of people think that Tesla would probably do well for years and years and years to come. But there are a lot of people who are really starting to think that Tesla is not going to do very well for 2024 and potentially even throughout 2025. And a lot of people are starting to think that, hey, starting to look like it's rolling over. It's probably going to go down here to the 60s, and it's going to probably just hang around here, fish around here, find a form of base, maybe even back test them at the top right here to go up. Why is that? It didn't do that over here. There is a significant change in terms of its productivity, in terms of its profitability, that has led to this move. The margin has substantially improved that had led to this move. The growth has substantially improved to lead to this move. You can say that right now the growth is actually not growing right now and is only really been starting to happening recently. But again, this is a cyclical stock. You can't expect a stock to keep growing 30 to 50% a year without any significant pullback, especially when it comes to consumerism, especially when it comes to macroeconomics. You just have to expect these kinds of things to happen. Now, the question is, what do I think? How far is Tesla going to go down? Is it going to go back down to 100? My answer is, I have two answers for you. Answer number one is I don't know. Answer number two is probably not. And I'll show you why that is. One reason is to probably not is because it already has gone through pretty significant capitulation and deleveraging when it went from here going down to here. The people that were selling down at 100 are probably not the people who wanted to sell it at 100. The people who sold it at 100 are probably people who were actually margin called, were over leveraged, and they had to sell their stock at a loss or to cover their leverage position. A lot of people down here at 100 actually probably didn't really want to sell. You know how I know? When was it about 100? Around December 2022, January 2023, right? If you look at a website called fintel.com.io, you can see how much institutions are loading up here for Tesla. Tesla before was around 30 to 40% institutional ownership. It has recently jumped to close to about 50%. And you know when that jump happened? It was around December 2022 to January 2023. You see a big giant jump in institutional buying right there. They're basically just taking the stock off of retail investors and these over leveraged traders. They're basically taking the stocks off their hands like candy. And they're very happy to do it. Now, once it gets up to here, they actually, these are smart money. They actually didn't really start like accumulating too much more. And the stock basically just kind of went up and down, up and down. But over recently, even though, really since, I would say this downtrend really started around, July of 2023. But if you actually look at the institutional buying, they're actually selling a little bit before that. But it ended up picking up again, really since around like July or August 2023. Institutional accumulation has started happening again very slowly. Now, the reason why I don't think that there's going to be a great deleveraging event is because it's already happened. So I'm not sure it's necessarily going to go down to 100 because the institution found that to be an opportunity to load up on Tesla. And the reason why this happened really was not because people wanted to sell at 100, it was because of deleveraging. I don't think there's a great level of leverage that's happening right now with Tesla. If anything, I think a lot of people have already, kind of shorting Tesla. If you just look at some of the bear ETFs for Tesla, you're actually seeing, pretty significant inflow. And actually start to look a little bit bullish here, which is crazy. I don't know what else to say about that, with the exception that I think if you're looking into Tesla, it's probably not a stock that you want to get into if you want to make money over the next year or two, because there's no guarantee. I do agree with other people saying, yeah, you know what? You're saying how great Tesla is, you're saying how these things are cynical, how Tesla's going to come back, how Tesla's probably not going to drop that down to like, 60 or 40 or whatever. But there's still a great amount of opportunity cost that is being lost. Look at other stocks that are having great fundamentals, they're having great technicals like Nvidia, like Meta. You can really, or even like Bitcoin, you can argue that there's a lot of things that you can get into and start making money. If you end up leaving money on Tesla, you're really leaving money behind. There's a great amount of opportunity cost that's being lost here. And you might be right. I mean, there's no argument against that. I'm also going to show you as to why I think you're right. If I pull up the Bollinger Band here, which is going to show you, this is the orange line right here is the 20-month moving average. You're right. I mean, 20-month moving average is rolling down. And if anything, the downtrend over here is accelerating. Guess what? Another time that this has happened was over here before it started pumping way up, right? So there's no guarantee when it comes to Tesla. And also over here, it looks like the 20-month moving average is kind of slowly going sideways. Looks like Bollinger Band is just squeezing. Because it's going sideways like that, there's a great risk for it to kind of roll over and die. But it didn't end up doing that. It ended up just bouncing up and then it's just going higher. You potentially could have a little bit of a very similar look over here as over here, a similar look over here as over here. But objectively, this is a downtrend. Objectively, there's a lot more resistance to fight against over here to get back above. Objectively, this is a falling knife. I'm not against that. I think when things were over here, it was still a little bit questionable. Although a lot of people are saying, making absolute statements like, oh, this is definitely bearish, it's definitely going down. I can show you another chart that actually had, a very similar look that ended up actually doing the complete opposite, But if you look over at the trading desk, the trade desk, TTD ticker symbol, you see that price kind of just going sideways, and as it hit the Ichimoku cloud here on the monthly, it bounced from it, right? But if you look at Tesla, it ended up not doing that. It just ended up kind of, gone sideways, got into the cloud here. Looks like it was about to bounce when the cloud go higher. It ended up not doing that. It just ended up broke through the cloud and just kept going down lower. So technical analysis is not 100%. I do want to say that based on looking at Bollinger Band, it is a falling knife. Again, there's no guarantee that it's going to keep falling because it is Tesla. It's going to do its own thing. The personality of Tesla is very weird. I'm not going to say anything about the CEO, but the personality of Tesla is very weird when it comes to technical analysis. I would say this, though. There are a few signs here that are telling me that I'm not sure about this down move here. Thing number one is, as you continue to have this downtrend over here, the sell volume has increased, right? Which tells you is that people are selling, capitulation, right? Over here, this downtrend right here has not really been met by increased volume. If anything, this downtrend right here was met with decreased volume. So a little bit of decreased volume here. So it makes me wonder whether or not this is like some low commitment selling. Maybe this is more just we're trying to squeeze out the rest of it, try to trade hands of the weekends that are remaining left. Because right now, most people that are holding Tesla, they're not really looking for short-term gains. They're more thinking long-term here. There are people already not selling over here. Like, I don't care if the stock goes down to like 100, 120, 100. There's still a lot of people that didn't sell over here. They're probably not going to sell over here. So I think the selling pressure has been significantly decompressed. I think currently the price has kind of been going down, but it's not really being supported by having increased volume of sellers. So you're really trying to squeeze the rest of the sellers over here. And also there's really no incentive for institution to deleverage anymore because they already got the shares that they wanted. They already saw that as an opportunity to buy around 100, and they did. The other thing also is to kind of pull up the unbalanced volume over here. There's something that is also has struck me as kind of odd. And this is showing up on the weekly as well as on the monthly here as well. I'm just going to show you the monthly here to kind of keep things simple. This is the unbalanced volume. It basically calculates how the bullish volume and the bearish volume has been. The divergences of the OBV and price tells you that there's some discrepancy in terms of how the volume is behaving versus how price is behaving. For example, if the OBV is kind of trending up a little bit, you would think that there's more bullish buying volume, but price goes down. That tells you that there's something unusual that's going on. So if you clearly look over here at this peak down here and down here, and you look at here, you can look at the bottom peak over here to here. You can see there's a very, very clear bullish divergence over here. The bullish divergence, where's my divergence chart? Somewhere hidden over here. The bullish divergence is shown when the indicator is going up and the price is going down. There has been a discrepancy or bullish divergence between the price that has been going down over here and the unbalanced volume that's been going up. That tells me that you actually have some bullish momentum here in terms of buying volume that's been happening. And that actually makes sense to me because if you look over here, the selling volume actually has been decreasing, whereas buying volume actually is just still kind of trickling in here. So I think this downtrend is on a lot weaker volume compared to the increasing volume over here. So I'm not sure about this particular move. Something doesn't smell right here. It doesn't mean that it won't go down lower. The thing about these bullish divergences and bearish divergences, actually, it doesn't mean that price won't go down lower or higher. Price could certainly, I would not be surprised. I would not be surprised if price goes down a lot further, right? Because I just show you that the Bollinger Band is going down with its 20-month moving average going down, right? That's going to be a resistance. I'm not surprised if this keeps going down further. There's no surprise in that. I just don't know whether or not it's absolutely going to happen. Price go down on a bullish divergence? Yes. All bullish divergence tell you is that the bearish momentum it should be slowing down, and it could be slowing down. The right now, Tesla, just like over here, it may be starting to form a little bit of tweezer, although you can argue over here too, but it kept on going down. It might be finding a pretty decent horizontal support over here, but there's no guarantee because there's a falling knife. But it's a falling knife on decreasing volume. Whatever you make out of it is wherever you make out of it. At this point, the people who are in Tesla, the people who are remaining in Tesla, and the people who are buying Tesla are long-term investors. If you're a trader and you're buying Tesla down here, you might be looking for some short technical bounce, and that's great. If you are thinking that things are bottom over here, there's no indicator that is really telling me that that's the case. If you look at the RSI, it also doesn't really tell you on the monthly whether or not it's bottom or not. If you look at weekly, it's gotten through some pretty drastic moves already. If you look at the weekly, every single time when it hits around, the RSI hits around 30 or so on the weekly, Tesla has bottomed. Over here, and once again get below 30 over here. So when I saw that the RSI got below 30, I called the bottom here, and I think that was an accurate call. But this call right here has just been very, very tough to make as to what's going to happen after that. Right now, the RSI is getting closer to 30s again. Can it stay oversold for longer? Can it keep on going down here in the 30s and 20s, and price just keeps on going down to 60? Sure it can. Nobody's going to argue that. Do I think it's going to happen? Are the bearish arguments going to come true? Or is this a cyclical stock? Is this one of those stocks just keeps on looking like it's going to roll over but doesn't? Are the institutions interested in taking the stocks further so they can get in? I don't know. I think I might have raised more questions than I've answered. One thing I do know though, and I feel that this is going to be the case for the market in general, for everybody in general. One thing I do know though is that I'm starting to make enough money from other stocks. I'm starting to make enough money from crypto, from Ethereum, from Bitcoin, that I'm okay to put some money and allocate some money into Tesla, because I believe in the long-term vision of Tesla, because I believe that they have a competitive edge, because I believe that the 30-50% growth rate is going to come back, because I believe that this is still the early stages of the EV market, because I believe that there are other things that they're working on that's going to be revolutionary, such as FSD, such as the Robotaxi network. Elon Musk just announced that they're going to talk more about it in August, and the stock jumped after hours because of it. After a false report that they're going to not do the cheaper Tesla model that ended up being, disputed by Elon Musk. I don't know. There's just so much noise out there, both in terms of fundamentals and technicals. But I've made enough money that I'm going to start buying this falling knife. And I think it's probably going to work out pretty decent over a long term. Buying here may not be buying the bottom, and I don't care. Buying here could be like buying Bitcoin around 30K. It could drop all the way down to 15K. I don't care. It's like 70K now. It's 68K now. Whatever. I don't care. At a certain point, when it comes to uncertainty like this, I just go with my conviction long term, and I'm a Tesla investor, and I'm okay with it. You shouldn't be. You should make your own assessment. You should make your own judgment. Just know that I want to burn this picture into your head. Just learn that this is a falling knife, okay? This is a falling knife. This is a definition of a falling knife. I'm buying a falling knife. I'm not asking y'all to follow me. I don't care. I'm just telling you what I'm doing, what I'm thinking. Sorry there's not a conclusive answer here. I'm just showing you some things that don't make sense. And I'm going to go with it. It's been 25 minutes. I think I've taught long enough. Thank you very much. Have a good one. Bye.